Well, hello everyone. Happy spring. It's LobsterBox20 here. I'm not too good at making these update videos. That's why you don't see a whole heck of a lot of them from me. But this year's kind of an exception based on what's going on in my life. It's really the only practical way I can see myself catching up with everyone here on YouTube. So here's the situation. In January 2015, I enrolled for my first semester of business school at the Northern Alberta Institute of Technology, and completing that was, it took a lot of my time. I was enrolled in 3 classes, and I took those on Tuesdays and Thursdays, and I worked the other 4 days of the week, so I didn't get a lot of time to do anything besides just get home, complete my studies, and at that point, you know, I just want to put on a record or something. So I wasn't working outside a whole heck of a lot, and so my YouTube channel has kind of been neglected, as is per usual, but this year it was a bit more severe. So anyway, I'd like to firstly thank all of the people who've recently subscribed to my channel, despite the fact that I've only put out 3 videos in the past 4 months or so. Your support is important to me. And I've also got one particular person that I can think of at the moment I'd like to shout out to. I've been meaning to do this for a while. Science Burrito. I don't quite know you on a first name basis yet, but I hope I will soon here. I really appreciate your enthusiasm and support for my videos, and this one's for you. So without further ado, I'm just gonna run around and tell you guys everything that's been going on with me and the tractors so far this spring in one swoop. You'll get an update on every single piece of equipment that I currently own. Let's get started. Okay, so we're just at the edge of my backyard now. Got a dump pile happening here. This is all the stuff that we need to take to the dump. It's actually getting a lot tidier this year. Back here is usually stuffed with tractors. Now we just have a couple of pallets. We have the hood sled, the hood boggin for pulling behind the Argo. And under these tarps here we have Sears mowing decks, Sears snowblowers, and under that white tarp over there, more Sears implements just kind of nicely tucked away amongst the trees where nothing else could really fit. And under the tarps back there we've got 2 Sears parts tractors, an SS16 1973 and a GT 19.9. Then under that blue tarp we have the tracks for my Argo, the plow blade for my Argo, and sticking out there you can see the snowblower. After many years of shamelessly cluttering up my poor parents' yard, they were so supportive of me with this hobby that of course I owe it to them, and I owe it to my own improved personal standards at this point to keep the yard clean. This small garden shed, 28-inch wide doors. So there's not a lot you can put in here. I recently sold my Troy-Bilt horse rototiller finally this spring. I just like using the tractor mounts a lot better, and I really didn't have any need for it before, so I got it for free. I sold it for $900, and I did very well at the start of the season. Onto this tarp we have my first Roper RT16. I sold the hydraulic roper, I think, at some point before Christmas because of some recent acquisitions I had. My plan for this thing, it's kind of, it's deteriorated, really. There's a lot of stuff that needs work, and it's just getting to the point where I can't really fire it up and use it. It's not a reliable, mechanically sound tractor like it once was. The loader really took its toll on it. And at this point, based on just the way it looks and its usability and everything, pretty much should be torn down and gone through, just gone under the knife. And this is a tractor that I wouldn't mind doing, paying that kind of attention to it, spending that kind of money on it, because it's my first real Sears tractor, even though it's a Roper. But yeah, if I fix it up, I'll put the tote box on the front, I'll put a 42-inch mower in the middle, and I'll have a manual 3-point hitch on the back for chore duties. pulling the plow and everything. It's got ag tires on it now, but that's as it sits. I don't really have any immediate plans to do anything with it. There's the Honda Harmony H1011 hydrostatic. Took the bagger off, storing it. More info about that, I think I'm gonna make a video of all the lawn equipment. So eventually you might see a link here, an annotation that I'll put up. The yard cart with the bagger, and underneath this here, I'm not sure. Well, I have a couple videos up of this tractor. I know it's worth pulling the tarp off of. This is the original tractor that we got with our acreage, a little 42-inch Craftsman LT2000 from 2004. This is going to go up for sale again just because we don't really need it anymore. I've got more than enough hydrostatic powerful garden tractors that will surpass this. And as we step back and take a look, those are my only 4 units that are outside right now. It used to be that I had stuff all over the yard, but now I've been able to contain all of my implements and everything under cover back in the bush. So now we have a nice neat row of tractors hiding behind the shed, not visible from the driveway. Okay, things just keep getting better and better here. I'm saving the best for last. This isn't quite last yet, but it's getting there. This is, of course, the V-twin loader, as you've seen it before. That video is actually one of my more popular ones. I'm surprised by how many views it has. Nothing's changed with this thing, but the engine still purrs like a kitten, still running AMSOIL. I had to change the spark plugs out, and I can certainly say that I'll never be running AC Delco spark plugs in anything ever again, because those are spark plugs that had easily under 50 hours of use on them, and they both inexplicably failed on me during the winter. So the original spark plugs are back in it, and it's been purring like a kitten ever since. Subaru Robin engine is performing very well. But we've been using this loader to build a container garden. I wish it was a garden that's in ground so I could use my rototillers on it, but that's the spring reno project that's happening now. It actually performed very well. I regret not getting any real video with this loader, but it's tricky because my dad uses it mostly, and he does most of the loader work when I'm at work. So finding times to film this is tricky, but it's really something I need to get around to filming eventually. The John Deere 425 in summer mode. I just finished making the rounds with it and mowing. It's a real fun machine to use. It's super easy. I'm really spoiled with it. I actually paid a lot more attention this year, leveled the mowing decks on my stuff. It's all greased and ready to go. Still got a small radiator leak, but what are you gonna do? It's so small it's not even really noticeable, just a few drips. This thing is performing fantastic, and I'm sure it will continue to do so. I don't think it'll get much use other than towing around trailers, because I want to keep the high stress tasks off of the low hour tractors. So this thing might mostly be seeing its work just towing around trailers and stuff like that, but when I need to mow with it, heck, it sure is one beautiful mowing machine. I'll probably have another video of this one later on. So I got the 322 running, and it turned out it's a really weird problem. The no spark condition was caused by the ignition coils just deciding to give up the ghost after a while. So I took everything apart way back in January before I went to school, and then it sat the whole time I was at business school. I barely had the time to touch it. Then at the end of April I got back on this thing, and it was one of the first things I fixed. And basically the way it worked was, despite the fact that all 3 of the old ignition coils were sparking, I replaced one of them because it had intermittent spark. This was the first one I replaced. And then I found out, after the engine failed to start, that the engine would only start and run on the new coil. on one cylinder. If you hooked the other coils up to the other cylinders, it wouldn't start and run. But if you unhooked the other two coils, the old coils, and hooked up the new coil to one cylinder, it would start and run on one cylinder. So with that in mind, and not a whole heck of a lot of an explanation, I went ahead and dropped the money on all 3 new ignition coils, and that set me back $350. But at the end of the day, I have a running John Deere 322, and it's still got the new air filter, still got the AMSOIL in it, and all the other work I did on it was unaffected. Needs a new coat of wax, but this thing actually performed very well when I used it with the rototiller this spring, so I'm happy to have it running again. I did a few adjustments on it, like I tightened up the axle stop bolts so that this thing wasn't flopping around anymore. The axle doesn't walk from back to front. It just of course pivots up and down like it's normally supposed to. I have to unfreeze the little pivots on the power steering cylinder on both ends. I think I'll just undo that bolt and take the ball out and just use some penetrating oil and get them freed up, because they both have grease fittings, but you can't even put grease on them because they're so frozen up. That'll probably help the longevity of the power steering cylinder. Another repair I did on this thing is I adjusted and gapped the PTO clutch to 17 thousandths, and of course I leveled the mowing deck and everything too, and so I was out mowing with it actually today. The belt broke, and now I just have to grab a new belt for it, but after that it'll be ready to mow. I spent some more money, more than I'd like to admit, on bags for the power flow for this thing, bags and frames. So that'll help me if I ever need to use a power flow, although this year it's so dry I don't think I will, except for in the fall. Maybe I can make some money by doing leaf cleanup, who knows. Anyway, the John Deere 322, you'll see a mowing video of this thing as soon as I get the belt repaired, because that's just about the only thing I haven't filmed myself doing with it. And oh my god, the Argo Conquest 8x8. My fun with this thing just never ends. Using it a heck of a lot up at Christmas time and in November for my birthday celebrations, entertaining friends. Got a lot of real genuine fun from it, just pulling people behind sleds and everything, going on winter adventures. It's virtually unstoppable with the tracks. So it's a lovely machine. The Kawasaki FD620D purrs like a kitten. But I got some major problems. Now, I'm going to zoom the camera in there. This is why I have it up on jack stands. So this is the front axle. I'm going to point the camera right in the center there. You'll see the axle kind of flopping around in that bearing race. I'm going to move the camera over. You'll see that scored piece of shiny metal. That's the front axle bearing, the front inner axle bearing, and there's the seal. So for whatever reason, this is kind of happening on both sides, but it's worse on this one. About Valentine's Day, when I was driving this thing around, I noticed that the chain noise that I'd heard on the front had gotten so bad that it was starting to jump the sprocket. I could hear that noise there. So I basically parked the thing, didn't drive it for 3 months, and now I just got a chance to look at the issues the other day, and I'm not sure what this is going to set me back. This is the first time I've done a repair on this Argo. The other axles are still in fine shape. They're greased very well, so shouldn't have a problem with them. But in any case, I'm due for perhaps a new sprocket, definitely a new chain, definitely a new bearing. I just hope that there hasn't been a lot of damage done to this outer bearings and seals, because as it stands, I can push the wheel in and out. I can wiggle it from side to side, not in a good way. So that is absolute priority 1 on my repair list. It's the Argo, and getting it back in shape, because regardless of how much I paid for it in the first place, if this thing isn't working, it might as well be worthless. So I'll pay the money, I'll get it back in shape, and depending on how my long-term goals pan out, I might just have to sell it. But either way, I've had my fun with it, it's an absolute joy, because as soon as I get behind those two skid steer levers and start driving this thing through swamps, through brush, over water, I just forget all about the money I spent. I forget all about the problems I've had. It's just an absolute pleasure to drive. So we'll get her back in shape, but that's the Argo for now. So lastly, we have a little something in this shipping crate here that YouTube's never seen before. I'm gonna unveil it in the 400 subscriber special, and so I'm really excited for that. We're close. I'm at 292 as of the time of posting this video. Once again, I'd like to thank all of those who subscribed to me over the past at least 4 months. Even though I haven't been making a heck of a lot of videos in that time, your subscribership and viewership is appreciated. This video has been for you. Anyway, I'll have more up soon. I've already filmed a couple. It's just a matter of editing them. So, thanks for watching, and enjoy your day.